So for those people who watched video 1328, you'll know that ESKUTE sent us this Voyager model of their e-bike to have a look at and to do some reviews on it. Now, we kind of follow a format with this sort of stuff. First one's always sort of a, ooh wow, unboxing, have a look at it, general first impressions. Then we go into a bit more of the nitty-gritty about the controller, and this one's a KD21C controller, and it's got some neat functions on it that I'd actually like to go through. And of course, everybody wants to know how to gain throttle control and how to remove speed limits, and there are reasons you'd want to do that. Remember, the legal requirement on British roads is for throttle control 5 kilometres an hour, for pedal assist then 25 kilometres an hour, I believe. So any of those, if you change those and ride it on the road, then you are breaking British law. Now, British law also requires that the hub motor be 250 watts, and it must be printed on the outside. So this is for off-road use, informational use, and not to encourage you in any way whatsoever to do this stuff and then ride it on the road. But we are going to be looking at those elements of this controller and this bike so that we know what to do if we want to do that or if we happen to live in a different country. Anyway, let's have a bit of a closer look at the controller. Okay, so there's the controller, and it's basically controlled by these three buttons here, and it operates in a level menu system, a bit like the old Nokia phones used to do. Start it, you press down and hold the on button clearly, and the whole thing will come alive. And you can see where you've got your speedo here, you've got your travel distance there for total trip, your assist level is there, and then you've got your battery indicator there. By pressing the plus and the minus button quickly, you can change your assist level up to assist level 5, and then it cycles back down to the default assist level on turn on, which is usually 1. If I press and hold the plus button, there we go, the backlight comes on. This is really neat actually. If I press and hold the minus button, we get a P. That P means push assist. It's set at 6 kilometers per hour, and it will do that as long as you hold down that minus button. If you happen to be pushing your bike up a hill, for instance, and you find it a bit heavy, you can get a little push assist. Let it go, and the push assist stops. I thought that was super cool. Okay, that's the top level. To get to the next level, you hold the plus and the minus down for a couple of seconds, and then we get into the next level of the system. This one, TC-N, means our total trip. It's the trip distance that we saw on the front screen. If you change that to plus, it'll clear the trip distance for you, leave it at minus N, and then nothing will happen. To get to the next one, press that button, and we get BL. That's backlight level, so backlight level 1. And you can reset that if you want, and then we get on to the next one, which is the U value. The U value changes it between mph and kilometres per hour. I've obviously set it to 1, which is mph, because I'm in England. If you set it to 2, there we go, changes to kilometres. Oddly enough, to get these settings to stay, all you really need to do is jump to the next setting. So now if I exit that by pressing that button and holding it, it will exit, and you can see it's changed to kilometres. So to get into that, hold those, cycle through, and we'll change that back to 1. Then we need to go to the next setting, and then we can exit by pressing and holding that, and we've gone back to miles. So the top level is operated from these buttons now. To get into the next level, press and hold those, cycle through by skipping that, change the values by pressing those, and exit by pressing and holding that. Okay, so starting at the top screen, hold down the plus and the minus for a couple of seconds, and we go one level down to the one we've just looked at. Now you have a choice. If you hold down the plus and the minus button, you'll go into something called the system setting. If you hold down the on, off and the minus, you go something called the general settings. So we press that, we get wheel diameter. And as we go in the wheel diameter, we can change that obviously, but it is 27, so we don't really want to. So press that once. It will begin to flash. If you want to change it, press the plus and the minus. Press it again, and you get this, which is the speed limit. Now, the top speed limit of this allowable is 40 kilometers per hour, so we can change it down to 39 and so on, or back to 40. And that's going to be the top speed limit you can get out of this thing.
Then if we want to set that, remember, we have to move on to the next one, and then we can exit it by pressing and holding that. And it takes us back to the top screen. From that top screen, again, plus and minus, to take us to this. In the previous version, we did minus and on off, and now we do plus and minus again. And this takes us to the system settings, and there are 8 of them. So there's this one, VOL, and we'll just cycle through them: SCA, CUR, PAS, SPS, HND, what would you say, SYS, and then PSD, and then we're back again to VOL. And to exit those, again, we press that and hold it, and it jumps us to the top screen. Okay, let's get back to those system settings. So remember, press that and hold it, you get to the first level settings, press the plus and the minus again, and you get to this level settings. This one is the voltage level setting, so if we enter that by pressing that once, we can see the battery voltage, which we can skip through by pressing that quickly. Remember, the battery on this bike is 32 volts, so you don't really want to change it. And then press and hold, and you'll jump back to the next level setting in the system settings, which you can cycle through by doing that. Now, this is the pedal assist level. This one here is a overcurrent protection. This one is the pedal assist level, all of which you can play with. What we're after is that one. This one is the throttle control. So if we jump into that, you'll see HL minus Y. That means that the throttle control is on. I can turn that throttle control off by HL minus N, or I can turn it back on by HL minus Y. And I've put it at Y, of course, because I've fitted the throttle. And in a minute, I'll show you how to fit that throttle. And we exit that. We're back to HND, and then we can do the system mode and have a look at the password. So here you can actually set a password for the on and off. The default is 0, obviously there isn't one, but you can actually set it to on and off, and there are quite a few other settings in this controller, things like maximum speed limits actually, which are useful, and we can get to that from the SYS setting. There, jump into that, and then we've got, this is the delay for when the battery power is delayed. Then we get that one, which is our speed limit setting for the overall battery, our overall motor, and you can see it's set at 40. And again, you can change that, but only less than 40. 40 is the actual default setting, the maximum setting for this controller. And to get out of that, we can change that.
No means gone into every control on this controller. I've only really covered the major ones, and the major ones really are how to change that speed setting and how to install throttle control. The other ones, you can change them if you want, but why would you? I mean, the voltage is set, and most of the settings are set at the factory when it comes out, so the wheel diameter. You've got things like sensitivity settings and power assist settings that you can change to suit you, and you've got things like number of sensors that you never want to change or the thing will stop working. Most of it actually comes in a manual, and it's really easy to read. The main thing to remember is that it's a level menu like a Nokia, and it has a branch, and you access it really with these buttons in the press sequence that I showed you. Once you get hold of that, you're going to find the menu really easy to use anyway. Now, is one other tweak that we did, and that was the throttle control. If you remember in that earlier video, this came separately in a box with a short handle grip, and this grip here was the same on this side. So I clearly removed the grip, slid on the handle, bolted it, slid on the throttle, fastened up the nut, slid on the grip cover, and then right here there's a little plug. This was just bare sticking out there, and the throttle plugged straight into that little plug, and that's all there was to fitting that throttle. So once I fitted the throttle, and we go in and change that throttle control to Y, you're ready to go. So there's just nothing else to do about it. Like I say, the actual speed limit is hardware encoded into that controller, so 40 kilometers an hour, which is pretty fast if you think about it, probably faster than this bike can actually do. It's going to be the top limit of what you can do on that thing. But a couple of neat little things. I mean, I thought it was neat how easy it was to add throttle control. I also thought it was super neat, that little push assist. So I thought I'd show you the ins and outs of the controller for a bit. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe.